I am Angie Fisher. I am a talent acquisition partner at St. Alphonsus Health System. I've been at St. Alphonsus for almost 3 years now, but I have over 15 years of recruiting experience, also from Micron and Ada County Sheriff's Office and Ada County Courthouse. So happy to be here today. Thanks, Vicki.
Welcome. Tracy, you want to go?
I'm Tracy Stone. I'm with Mass Mutual Idaho. We're a full-service financial firm located at the Village at Meridian. I've been with them for 11 years, recruiting for them 11 years. We have grown from about 3 agents when I first started to we have about 50 in the state of Idaho, Montana, and Wyoming, and I'm on their leadership team directing not only the recruiting, but a lot of the marketing too. We do partner with BSU for WorkU interns and other interns. I have an intern from BSU with us right now in the financial services, and we are also going to be having another WorkU internship this fall. So we're very happy to partner with all the great people at the Career Center and those involved with BSU.
Thank you, Tracy. Stephanie?
Hi, everyone. Vicki, thanks so much for allowing us to be here today and chat about probably all of our favorite topics, which is recruiting and finding jobs. Again, my name is Stephanie Parker. I'm the president of Talent Spark, which is a local Boise-based recruiting firm. In addition to being a mom and a coffee lover, I've been a recruiter first and foremost for almost 25 years and have had the good fortune of working at many of the Valley's best employers, including Micron and St. Luke's most recently. So it's my pleasure to be here today, and thank you again, Vicki, for an opportunity to chat a little bit more about this topic.
Thanks, Stephanie. Kelsey?
Yes, hello everyone. My name is Kelsey. I am one of the recruiters and HR specialist at Tandem Diabetes Care. And so for those of you who don't know us, because we are new to the area, we are a biotech company. We produce and manufacture insulin pumps for people living with type 1 diabetes.
All right, thank you all of you for being here today. We really appreciate it. So I'm going to go ahead, like I said, and start asking some questions, and then we'll get to the student questions. And I do want to point out too, because Stephanie is with a staffing agency, she's going to really be able to speak to what's going on with a lot of different employers in the area. So just want to kind of point that out. So let's go ahead and start with the first question. And you can jump in any order on these. How is your company doing right now? And how has the virus changed how you are conducting business? Include any changes you've made to your existing workforce and hiring processes.
Well, I'll go. I'll jump in at any time. Right now, we're doing very well. We're actually going to have a record month. We also work in a business. We do life insurance and manage people's money. And with the market volatility, of course, that makes our clients very top of mind. We're at top of mind for them, but also with the health crisis and that danger of death lurking behind us. I'm going to be very honest. People really remember that they need to protect those that matter most. So we've actually are doing very, very well. We've invested in technology for years. We weren't planning this for a pandemic, but we knew, we could see through marketing that it is going digital, it is going virtual. And so for years we've been preparing for this and not knowing that we were going to be using it in such a dramatic way. So all of our meetings are now through Zoom. Our office was open throughout the pandemic, but the doors were locked. We had a very skeleton crew. I stayed home for almost 6 weeks. And we've now opened with very safe coronavirus precautions put in place right now, where we only allow visitors in 2 of the conference rooms and that. But it really didn't slow our business down. It just switched the way we're doing business. So our client meetings are through Zoom virtual. Our recruiting is through Zoom. I'm reaching out. I always do a Zoom meeting for the first interview. And so I always send one of the things I think it's really fostered for me is for any candidate that's interested, I don't talk to them the first time. What I do is send them our information through so they can look us up. I have them look up our social profile, our website, our Facebook fan page, our, all the different things that we do, so they can kind of see us a little bit of as a culture, so they're able to ask some good questions, because they can't come to our agency and see who we are right there. I really look at the virtual world as what we're trying to show them first. So that's a little bit, I'll stop there, but it's really using the technology. It's really just honed in how important it is right now in this world. And I don't think it'll ever go back all the way it was, so. Anybody else on our panel?
Sure.
Maybe I'll jump in here. I like Vicki said, we're pretty fortunate in that we have not only perspective from our own business as a recruiting firm, which we do most of our recruiting locally in the Treasure Valley and in the state of Idaho. So we not only have ourselves as an example of a business, but we are supporting the recruiting and TA operations of many of the small and big employers in the Valley. So we've got some broad perspective in terms of kind of what the market looks like. I think that the biggest thing that we've seen, and maybe one of the silver linings in the pandemic and everyone going home and working from home, is we've really kind of helped our clients start to reimagine their recruiting process, because there has been a lot of face-to-face portions of that process that they're having to reconfigure now with social distancing. So it's been kind of interesting to help clients think through the process to move everything to a much more virtual platform, which is kind of new for some of our bigger employers who have been pretty reliant on face-to-face as a major portion of their selection process in the past. So I think that that's one interesting thing that's happening in the pandemic. There has been some innovation around the hiring and selection process that we've seen with a lot of the local employers. The other thing I wanted to mention is May actually, we saw in the federal job report, it actually was, there were 2.5 million jobs added in the month of May, which is sort of counterintuitive based on all of the bad news that we've heard. So I think we're seeing positive signs of the market coming back and the job market coming back.
This is Angie. And I think that this pandemic has really affected healthcare a great deal, and how we do business and how we utilize our workforce. As you've probably seen in the news, several of our colleagues were affected with furloughs because our work is shifting. And we did, financially, we needed to make that decision to keep us afloat. Learning that many hospitals and healthcare systems rely on elective surgeries and outpatient visits. So we really had to shift that focus. The good news is that we have restarted those elective surgeries, so that's great. And we have started opening our outpatient clinics now with safety precautions for COVID. So we are seeing quite a bit of an increase in our outpatient population. So that's really great news, which means that hopefully our individuals on furlough will be able to return back to work soon. So that's exciting news. We are hiring. Any positions on our website that are posted are we're actively recruiting for. So many of those are nursing positions, clinical support positions, entry level, such as housekeeping. We have moved a lot of things like everyone else's virtually, and we were already doing some things virtually, but I have been doing, unfortunately my areas are mostly on the outpatient side, so I haven't been doing a lot of hiring, but I have during this time. I think a lot of recruiters are taking the opportunity to have time to be able to spend with candidates and be able to pipeline for future opportunities. So that's what I am taking advantage of this time, and really being able to spend a little bit more time with candidates and kind of walking them through what things will look like. I think the other biggest part is our onboarding process, and how do you train nurses and support staff in a virtual environment. So we moved quite a few things online. I think that was a big shift for us, because normally most of our orientation is all in person. So that was probably the biggest challenge that we've had to overcome. But I think we'll continue to utilize technology. I hadn't been able to do video interviews until I just got a new laptop last week with a camera. So I'm excited to be able to utilize that. But I really hope in the next few months that we'll start seeing a little bit more normalcy, and our colleagues will be able to return to work.
Nice. So Tandem's response to COVID, I can sum it up in a couple words: resilience and imperfection. I would say this is something that no company certainly was expecting, and so we had to transition most of our employees to work from home, and some of those employees didn't have the proper equipment, such as laptops, headphones, and so a huge shout out to our IT team, HR, facilities, everyone involved. It was really all hands on deck approach to get everyone to start working from home. And it's also shed some light on, how capable people are outside of, the walls that we housed our employees in. And so it's brought up some really interesting conversations on what departments could actually perform maybe even better from a work from home environment. And so those conversations have started to formulate, which has been really nice to see. And then we recently went through a hiring event. So we just wrapped up yesterday. The goal was to hire about 18 people for our customer service roles here in Boise. And we held all of the interviews, all of the decisions were made via Microsoft Teams, and it went so well. And so it'll be an interesting transition back into the office. And that plan for us is, within the August timeframe. So we're going to be in the old Kmart building on the outskirts of downtown. And so I'll be interested to see what kind of changes we make and what we've learned from COVID and how we implement that back into the business.
Thank you. It's so interesting to hear how different companies, they've been affected differently by the virus. They've handled it a little bit differently, but everybody's really been able to pivot pretty quickly and handle it all and just do things virtually, a lot of the same things that you did face to face. And by the way, Kelsey, when I have an opportunity, I want to come out and see your new site. So.
Yes, we're so excited. We have a date that's not being disclosed, but it is in August. So keep an eye out for that.
All right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's go to the next question. With many jobs shifting to remote work, how do you think this pandemic will change the culture of companies and the way people work going forward? And again,
well, I think that the ability to work from home now has been shown to be effective and that accepted. And I think it'll shift. I think, to be honest, I'm going to say it's going to give a lot more opportunities for those that may want to work from home, either through disability or through childcare or staying home and being able to work with family at home. And I really think that what we found is that it's okay and it works well. I have to say, I'm exhausted and I want a vacation because I don't know of any of you, but Zoom, you can book your day where it's Zoom, and you don't have that break of getting up and going down to the break room or saying hi to the front staff or whatever it might be. I need a vacation. I've worked harder than I have ever worked because I don't have that half an hour travel time to get to my next appointment or whatever it might be. So I really think that it's going to be kind of a game changer for those that also may want to get back into the workforce. So, you know, we are always encouraging those that have left the workforce, whether it's for family, for a disability, for a move from state to state, that now want to go back into the workforce, that there's going to be a lot more opportunity for those individuals out there with some of that remote work that might be, you know, that wasn't there before. Anybody else chime in?
Yeah, this is Angie. I fully agree, Tracy, in your comment about working from home being more acceptable, because I think in a traditional organization like healthcare, we're used to going to the office, and obviously our direct patient care positions can't work from home. But I think that we'll start seeing a shift in some of those positions having more flexibility to be able to work from home when needed. I actually already had that flexibility on my team, which was really great, because sometimes you just need that time at home to be able to focus on reviewing applications and scheduling interviews and kind of getting through that busy work, where you can have interruptions in the office. So it's nice to be able to have that flexibility. But I think that we'll start seeing that more and more in some of our support functions at the hospital, where people will be able to work from home. And now they're equipped to be able to do that, because now they have laptops and where they may have not before. So I fully agree with that. I think in healthcare, we'll start probably seeing a growth in telehealth and doing appointments from home. And it'll be interesting to see if that will bring new job opportunities for individuals, if that will kind of shift some job functions within. So I think that will be something that we'll be anticipating. I will tell you that our organization is continuing to grow, and we are adding new physicians and providers. So I think that hiring to be able to support those individuals in the community will be able to, you know, we'll continue to hire for those areas eventually. But I think for the most part, I don't think it's really changed our culture. We're still very mission driven and values focused. So I don't think that will really change. I just think it'll be, they'll create more flexibility for individuals.
Maybe just to piggyback on that, I you know, again, echo what Angie and Tracy shared. I think work from home is going to become more normal. I also think that we're going to see more of a hybrid kind of work schedule, which is a little bit of time in the office and a little bit of time at home. So I think we're going to see more of that kind of schedule. The other thing that I think that we're going to see is that this defining that real work only gets done between the hours of 8 and 5. I think we're going to expand our definition of when work can get done and how work gets done. So I think many of us who went from the office to home also had kids at home. And so work would be done in different chunks of time. For example, early in the morning, before the kids got up, in the afternoon when kids went down for a nap, and then post 7 p.m. once the kids were down for bed. And so I do think that there's going to be sort of this interesting evolution of kind of what the work day looks like, and it may no longer be sort of this 8 to 5 confines.
That's great. Yeah, and I couldn't agree more. I think, you know, when we propose a question like that, you know, how could we go back to the way that we used to do things when we've experienced such change within the workforce? And so, you know, the way that we've been able to sustain our culture at Tandem, which, you know, we would label as very collaborative, very open door policy, you know, I think we've over communicated. We have a COVID update that goes out every Wednesday to the entire staff. You know, we do these fun Zoom meetings where it's beach day, or it's, you know, bring your favorite vacation picture, where people feel like because they're not getting those short interactions within the hallway, you know, we wanted to make sure that those conversations are still being had. And so we've gotten creative in how we can have open communication still. And we implemented a Boise newsletter. We've done a lot of different creative things to make sure that those lines of communication stay open.
Want to make sure I got myself unmuted. Thank you to all of you for that. Yeah, I'm really enjoying working from home. I miss my colleagues, that face-to-face, that interaction, like going down the hall, like Tracy was saying, but it's been really nice not having to get in the car and go anywhere. Another thing, Tracy was mentioning all the different scenarios in which remote work has been really, advantageous to folks. But another thing that came to mind for me are people that live in different locations. You don't have to live in the Silicon Valley now to have a job in the Silicon Valley. You don't have to live in Boise, Idaho, maybe to have maybe live in a remote area of Boise, but you can work for a Boise company. I think this is going to open up some work for people that are located in other areas too. So just want to point that out.
Yeah, our onboarding for new agents, we just brought on, we had 6 that we just had our kind of like a fast start class last week. And through the safe distancing, we had 3 in a very large boardroom in our agency that we did, with the 2 instructors, we were able to max it at 5, and we had them in the agency, but via the smart board and via Zoom and via all the other capabilities, we had others throughout the state that joined us. We had 3 down in the Emmett area, and we had 1 on the east side of the state. And we all had the same experience by being able to do that via, not only in person, but via Zoom. So I really see the opportunities for companies to bring on talented people throughout either the state of Idaho, or they can work remote from a different state. It works for us right now, and we're continuing to expand that. And this has only hastened, I guess, the opportunity for us to make that possible.
Thanks for sharing that. That's a really good example. All right, let's move on to the next one. As you can imagine, graduates are concerned that there won't be any jobs available for them. So would you tell us what changes you've made to your college recruiting plans and activities for the next few months or maybe a year for new grads? And then also with that, do you plan to participate in any career fairs or other hiring events, either on campus or virtual this fall?
I'd say yes, 100%. We need new agents. We actually, for my industry, and I know how important the healthcare is too, but for my industry in the financial services, we're going to be seeing $30 trillion of money being transferred from baby boomers to the next generation through legacy work, through death, through transfer of business assets. And we are also going to be seeing almost 49% of financial advisors retiring within that same next 10 years. There's a tremendous need for people to have someone to help coach them with their money and help them plan for their retirement and help them plan for college savings and all that. So our industry is in really desperate need of young individuals that want to get into this business. We have an agency that also has individuals that have done that and started from college and progressed to having their own agency, our owner, to building a practice for themselves. So I see a tremendous need in the industry for young individuals, and so we are actively seeking them. A lot of things I'm doing is I'm using the handshake system much more, which is placed throughout the university and multiple universities. I think a lot of students, a lot of you should be looking that are on this call, looking at the employers that are utilizing handshake. I think it's a great opportunity. It's a great opportunity to not only reach out to them, but to seek them and to be available for them. So keep that resume, or, from the employer's point of view, keep the job descriptions fresh and active and change them out. And from the candidates here, those graduating, keep looking at handshake, because employers do come and go and they do change jobs, and they, like the health system, I would imagine, has multiple job descriptions in there. So I'd advise using that extensively. Anyone else?
There are no shortage of jobs at Tandem. just a quick backstory on Tandem. Our headquarters are in San Diego, and Boise has become, you know, the forefront of the business plan. And so Boise, we're planning to put 400 to 500 jobs within this market. You know, most of those jobs being customer service driven or technical support driven, but we are going to be hiring on a monthly basis. And so do not worry about jobs at Tandem. We will have them for you. I post the jobs on Handshake, LinkedIn, our careers page. So whatever platform that you want to apply on, please do so. And then, you know, our recruiting strategy is very much involved with colleges, and not just BSU. We partnered with Oregon State University, San Diego State University, and so I've attended multiple virtual career fairs in the last 3 months, and they've been phenomenal. Students have shown up, they've been active, they ask great questions. And so our partnerships with the schools are definitely at the forefront of our strategy.
Yeah, we just actually had our first virtual event for nurses, and it went really well. It was very successful. We had a good group. We are hoping to get some hires out of the event, but it was super successful. It worked really well for our nursing team, so that's really exciting. We'll definitely continue for those key positions and participate in any type of virtual events or, you know, on campus that we're able to do. So, so absolutely. I would say that right now, especially, is a great time to reach out to employers, even if they don't have opportunities. It's just such a great way. So many recruiters are being proactive in reaching out to candidates, like I'm doing right now in certain fields. So I would, you know, encourage people to continue to reach out and connect with people. But we'll actually, you know, we'll absolutely be continuing to recruit new college graduates in the next year. Absolutely. And hopefully we'll be able to hire some summer interns next summer. That's my hope.
Stephanie, did you want to add anything to that?
Nope, I think my colleagues covered it very well.
Okay. All right. Well, let's move on then. You know, it appears in this job market that graduates need to be more diligent than ever in making themselves stand out to potential employers. Not only are new grads competing with each other, but also perhaps even more experienced candidates that have lost their jobs. So what tips do you have to help them prepare and present themselves as top candidates?
This one for me is really easy. It's professionalism from the candidate. I want to see a top-notch resume that's up to date, that's personalized and relevant for my job description. I want to see your virtual setting professional. Is your face lit so I can see it? If you're going to be doing virtual interviews, really pay attention to the site that you're holding. You know, it's not in the car, it's not while you're driving. I want to see your face. If I'm asking for a Zoom meeting, it's because I want to see your face. Dress professionally still. You know, a t-shirt doesn't cut it if you're going to a job interview, in my opinion. And then, you know, good grooming, that all of those things that you would do in a regular interview still apply on a virtual interview, but you have to add in the effect of what is your virtual background? What is the sound system like? You know, my dog started barking really bad. Okay, that, you know, I had to silence my thing. So if you do have a room where you can be, where you're not interrupted or somebody's walking behind you. I've been in interviews where, you know, it's a door going back and forth with somebody else, you know, and it's just very distracting for the interviewees. So really take the time to show that you're going to devote that 20 minutes or half an hour to that interview and that you're serious about it, just as if you were serious of walking into a restaurant. So professionalism, cover letter, professional resume, showing volunteer work, all those things I think are really still foremost. It's just, you know, making sure you add in that virtual environments piece.
Maybe to piggyback on what Tracy said, I think what we've seen is in this transition to this very virtual world of interviewing, while an ideal state is to have something very quiet and very professional and that the lighting is just right, I think we as employers also understand some grace needs to be given during this time. You know, Tracy's dog barked. My window is literally right above construction in a downtown alley. So I'm like, oh, please just let the drill be quiet for the next 45 minutes. Because I can only mute myself so often, right? So I would definitely echo what Tracy said for sure. Rules of face-to-face interviews are still in effect in the virtual world, but I think employers understand this is a pretty unusual time. And if you do have your dog bark or your cat crawl into the picture, there's some understanding, and there's an extensive amount of grace, I think, that we're all extending, because we need it too, because you'll start to hear the construction, and I need your grace as well. I will just say one additional thing. You know, Vicki, you started off the question by saying that job seekers, new college grads, are worried about the market. I get that. Many of us, I know Angie, based on the amount of time that we've done recruiting, Angie and I have seen a few recessions come and go and recruited for it. The market is recovering very, very quickly, much more quickly than we have seen in prior recessions. And I think that, to Vicki's point, or one of my other smart colleagues who are talking today, remote work is going to be available outside of, sort of the confines of your state. So I think there are going to be new and different kinds of opportunities to pursue. So I would just, I think that we feel very, very bullish about where the market is headed right now, how quickly the job market is recovering. And I will lastly say, fortune favors the bold. So what do I mean by that? Take this time to identify who are your top companies on LinkedIn, make a list of contacts within those companies, and start reaching out to people and growing your network in that way. This is an interesting time. Some of us have a little bit more time on our hands on the business side than we used to, and can engage in a little bit different and more meaningful way with candidates who are sincerely interested in our companies. So I would encourage you to do so. And in fact, we hired a BSU grad last summer who did a cold outreach to me. And I'm going to just quickly read a little portion of his outreach, because we all tell you to do something awesome, and then we don't tell you specifically what awesome means. So I'm going to read a little excerpt of this outreach just to give you an example of what awesome in my mind means. So it says, "Dear Miss Parker," which I like that he called me Miss. "It's crazy how things in life come full circle." Miss, because it presumes that I'm younger than I am. "It's crazy how in life things come full circle, seeing as how a recruiter was responsible for what I consider to be one of the biggest moments in my life. And now here I am sending out applications hoping to become one." I mean, that was awesome. That's Ben Kaiser. He's a BSU grad as of last summer. And so anyway, that cold outreach, we didn't have an opening, but with that letter, I called him and we hired him several weeks later.
I will have to, oh, go ahead, Kelsey.
Oh, go ahead. You spoke first.
Oh, no, it's okay.
Okay. I was just going to just provide some additional insight to what Tracy and Stephanie were saying. And, presenting yourself well and professionally is always going to be important. But also making sure that you're doing your research on the company and, at the minimum, reading their mission statement and getting aligned with their company values. We have a set of words that we live by, and it means so much to me when I'm on a phone interview or I'm in an in-person interview with a candidate who recites one of those words that we live by, because it shows me that they're truly vested in what we're doing at Tandem. And so, our product, it can get complex and can be difficult to understand from an outsider's perspective. And we understand that. We don't expect you to be a product expert coming into an interview. But if you at least get aligned with what the mission is of the company, you're already off to a great start. So just those little things, dropping certain words that the company uses, you're in alignment with what they're looking for.
I agree with all of you. All great advice and all things that I noted. I actually had reached out to my team to see, what additional things do you have for the areas that you specifically recruit for? And so a lot of them echoed, being yourself was a theme for us. And so always be yourself in an interview, still present yourself professionally, but always be yourself and show that your personality, I think, is really big. A coworker had mentioned, like, especially in healthcare, where right now we do have applicants that are very qualified that are applying for positions, but I think that we want to select the best person for the position. So I think really tailoring your resume and making clear, objective statements, tying them to the organization, the mission, the values. I fully agree with Kelsey in that. It so impresses me when people take time to research the organization and can tell me. Yesterday, I had a candidate that said, yeah, I had no idea that St. Alphonsus was founded by a group of sisters. So yes, so it's great when candidates can provide those details about the organization. So that's really important. And I fully agree with Stephanie on using this time to network and build your network on LinkedIn and researching organizations. And there are really no excuses, because all organizations seem to have so much information online, whether it's through social media or their own website. And today I'm super excited because we just launched our new career site. So go check it out. We're excited. But yeah, to take this time now to really research those organizations, find out more about the organization, what they do. We actually have a wonderful and amazing YouTube site that has some really great videos that talk about culture, which I've been sharing a lot with candidates lately, just because, like in Tracy's point earlier, they can't come in to see the organization. So that's where you can share that information. But yeah, continue to really just build that network and to make yourself stand out, be unique, and adding a cover letter to really tell your story can absolutely bump you up. And that additional information can be extremely helpful for recruiters.
I'll share one funny story, I think, of what not to do. I love the what nots, and you guys all know the what nots to do. The top 10 what not to do in the interview, and I've done presentations like that, but this happened during this process, and I was on my third interview with a gentleman, and I've been actively pursuing him for over a year, and so I was super excited. I brought the agency owner in, so it was a Zoom call with the agency owner, myself, and him, and he was in a location, had good lighting on his face. He wore professional dress, and he was sitting you could tell it was probably his desk in his home. And yet I could see through the reflection on his face that there was a TV on to the side over here. And I could see the reflection of the TV changing screens, like, how it'll change from a commercial to the programming. And he kept looking at the TV when my boss, the agency owner, was talking. And you could see him flip back and forth, like there must have been a game on. I don't know what it was, but he kept on looking at that. And then he'd just shift his eyes over to look. And I mean, this is where I'm like, would you do that in a regular in-person interview? We can see your eyes. We can feel your presence, even if you're virtual. So, turn the TV off, turn your phone off, do the things that you would normally do in an interview. But I do think that that's funny, and I'm sure you all have a story of what a ridiculous thing has happened during this on a Zoom call. I think a blooper of Zoom calls would be hysterical from the point of view of an interview, what not to do in an interview via Zoom call. So Anyways, he also chewed on his nails the whole time too. And my boss said, "Are you kidding me?" I got a text during the interview. "Are you kidding me?" Anyways, obviously he's not with us. Okay.
Thanks for sharing that, Tracy. Yeah, I think we could all make our own little blooper reel there of some of the things that candidates do in interviews. So yeah, that was very good advice. Thank you. Now I've just got one more question because I want to have some time for all of you to ask your questions. I don't see anything in the chat box yet, so make sure you get on there and start typing your questions. I'm leaving some time to do that. We still have about 15 minutes left. And I know you've already given so much great advice, but maybe you have a little bit more in you that you can squeeze out for this last question. So, what final advice or encouragement do you have for our 2020 graduating class?
I'll start. If you have somewhere between 6 months to a year of experience, it's a game changer from a recruiter's perspective. So I believe your goal needs to be do everything you can to get a little bit of experience on your resume. It just makes you so much more marketable to an employer. So how do you do that right now? I would encourage you, please look at things. If you can't secure full-time permanent employment, look at internships, look at unpaid internships, look at part-time jobs, look at anything that's going to allow you to get experience in the field that you want to work in on your resume. Because even just a little bit of it, like I said, 6 months to a year of something applicable to the field you want to work in, is you are going to have so much better results in your job search. So please don't rule out things like internships or temporary opportunities so you can get that experience.
I think my advice is going to be something that I lived by last year. I'm a stage 4 cancer survivor, and I learned that there's things you cannot control. We cannot control the pandemic, but we can control our reaction to it. And meaning I can control by safe precautions when I go in stores, by still wearing a mask, by being safe with the coronavirus in our agency and that. I can control those reactions, but I think from a new college graduate, don't let this pandemic control your reactions to it. Don't let it define your dreams. If you, like Stephanie said, if you have a dream for whatever career you want to be, pursue it. Don't sit and wait and say and blame it on the pandemic that you're still sitting on the couch and you're still staying at home and, well, nobody's hiring right now. Well, nobody's that. Well, that's attitude. Attitude is a little thing that makes a big difference. That's a quote by Winston Churchill. I live by it. I did not let this pandemic or my cancer control my life. I am back at work. I'm 100%. And so this to me is a little blip. I know it's made a world of difference to everybody, but don't let it define what you want to do with your life and where you want to go. Pursue your dreams, pursue the training, reach out to those employers that are in this industry you want to get into, use your LinkedIn, do all those things that you still would do, and be positive, because your attitude is going to make a whole difference. 80% of the reason to hire is your attitude. And if you come in thinking, I'm not going to get it because this is, nobody's hiring right now and nobody's this, you've got to change your mindset. It's all in your mindset.
I would probably add, I fully agree with Stephanie. I think that, and I think this is just not just during a pandemic, but in general, as a new grad, you may have to start entry level. You may have to start in a more of an entry level position and gather that experience in order to get to where you want to be. And I had a couple of coworkers that wrote some things in regards to this question, and I just wanted to read one to you. This is from Kayla Kramer. And some of you may know Kayla. She's been in the recruiting area for a long time in the local area. She says, every generation has faced some type of hardship in launching or building their careers. Persistence is key. You may not be able to start at the level you had hoped, but the value of your education will be tripled once you are able to combine it with the actual on-the-job experience. Don't get discouraged. Say yes to opportunity when it comes your way, and don't be afraid to ask questions or ask for help. And I just fully agree with that. Really resonates. But I think that degree will help you eventually in your career. You just have to get that initial experience and then partner it with your degree to get to that next step. So be open. I think right now in healthcare, we'll have a lot of opportunities coming up soon. They will be temporary positions, not knowing where this pandemic is going right now as the state reopens. But those positions would be just a great way to get your foot in the door and just be able to learn about the organization. And then I would have to say, Stephanie had mentioned to consider, other positions related to your field. And I would say that any type of customer service experience that you can get during this time is huge in our organization, just because even if it's not necessarily patient care with patients, it's still, our patients are our customers. So any of that type of customer service experience would go a long way, whether it's in retail or, working at a coffee shop or whatnot. So anyway, but yeah, the other thing that I would add is during this time too, not only continue to research organizations, but also there's so many great local professional organizations that you can join. And this is a great time to take advantage. And a lot of them are doing free meetings virtually. I know our local HRATV chapter is doing some things, meetings virtually, and those are normally costs. So it's great. And now is a great time to take advantage of those opportunities as well to look at professional organizations locally.
Perfect. Just to cap off this conversation, I wanted to share a personal story of my journey in the workforce. And so my first job interview out of college from Arizona State was at Carvana. And so I don't know if anyone on the panel here is familiar with Carvana, but they've blown up in the last few years. And I went to 3 interviews with that company, and I was not selected for the role. And at the time, it was earth-shattering. I remember sitting in my car and just crying and just being so upset and not understanding why I wasn't good enough or why I wasn't selected for the role. And then my next interview was at Tandem, and it started to all make sense. And so, I would say be gracious with yourself, and that you're going to stumble, you might fall along your way to find your perfect job. Rejection is hard. It's hard for us recruiters as well. It's an emotional process. And so just, be kind to yourself and understand that if you don't land the position that you thought was going to be the best fit for you, there will be something else around the corner. So I guess that's my advice, my story and my advice.
Thank you. All of that was such great advice and very encouraging to our new grads. Now, I do see that a question has come in the chat box from Chris. So I'm going to go ahead and read the question, and then you can just jump in and answer it. He asks, so long before the pandemic, I heard that working from home was kind of a double-edged sword because employers may realize that hiring locally is no longer a necessity, and you may get replaced by someone on the other side of the country or overseas. Is this a valid concern for employees, or do you feel that there are good reasons to continue to hire locally even when working remotely is an option? Good question.
I can maybe take a stab at that first, guys, if you don't mind. I think one of the great things about being in Idaho and the Treasure Valley is that kind of like Kelsey talking about tandem diabetes, our market, we have We have great higher education in the market. We have a very educated workforce. We have a wonderful, livable city. And so we are a target for many companies who want to move in and take advantage of all of the things Idaho has to offer from a workforce perspective. So we are seeing actually kind of the opposite in a way in this market, much more companies moving in and targeting Boise as a great community to hire. So I'm very encouraged. I sit on the Boise Valley Economic Partnership. I'm a part of the board there, and we see a lot of exciting companies targeting Boise to grow and open up operations. I think Tandem is an incredible example of that. And I've also seen companies outsource over the years, outsource functions overseas, and it hasn't worked. And eventually they've brought those functions back into the community and started to hire again locally. So that's been my experience about the market and kind of this outsourcing component that the person who asked the question mentioned.
Yeah, and Stephanie, thanks for mentioning us. I think, you know, Tandem was faced with the option to keep jobs here in house or to put those jobs overseas, and I think Tandem made an incredible, you know, choice in keeping those jobs here in the US. And so, you know, Boise, like I mentioned at the beginning, is such a huge component of where the business is headed. And, you know, we could have chose anywhere in the US to plant our next expansion. And we chose Boise for a reason. We felt like we were in line with the values of this city and, you know, just how kind the people are and the partnerships with the schools. And so, yeah, we not that we made a pledge, but we are very focused on keeping these jobs here and putting, you know, people within these jobs who will take care of our customers.
I'll speak on, rather than the healthcare side, a little bit of the professional side. People are always going to need the personal help of whether it's attorneys or tax accountants or financial advisors or that wealth of people that work with money and very personal items. And a lot of that is not something they want to do online. I'm not going to do my work online unless I already have that relationship with a client, and then I move down to, let's say I moved to California, I'd be very happy because I know that person. So we're in a business that our clients only come to us if they know, like, and trust us. And very few of the things that we do, there isn't a personal relationship developed with our clients that are sometimes lifelong clients and sometimes even generational. So I think there will always be a need for the industry and the professionals, you know, those kind of industries to have the personal, you know, I like to meet with my tax accountant. I want to meet with my attorney. I want to meet individually with them. And right now, while we can't, we still can reach out remotely, but I don't think that will ever take the place of that one-on-one personal relationship that a lot of the careers that you're looking at will still have. And so I think there will always be a great need. I choose to live in Idaho. I've lived all over the country. I found Idaho and I decided to stay here. I'm a career changer into this industry because I wanted to stay in Idaho. So I think for those that want to stay in Idaho, and there's going to be a lot of opportunity to hire locally.
Yeah, I would agree. I think for our local healthcare organizations, that even if jobs could potentially be a virtual remote position, I think Stephanie talked earlier about the mix of being able to have some time to work from home and some time in the office. And I think that's probably what St. Alphonsus will be moving, you know, possibly more to. But I think we still, just given our community and our mission and values, we like to be around other people and like to have that connection with individuals, even if we're not in a direct patient care position. And even our support functions like accounting and our data informatics team and HR, you know, we still crave that contact with individuals. So I think we'll continue to recruit across the country, but we'll want to bring people here to the area as well. And we do that now. And I think another exciting opportunity that Trinity Health is offering is we are starting for nursing students, and this might be an opportunity by our own internal traveler program. So students can, nurses can be able to, and other positions can go to other Trinity Health hospitals and be able to work. So if that's something that they want to be able to travel and work around, we just started that program right when COVID started. So good time, but it's called First Choice, and there's more information on the Trinity Health site. But that's another great opportunity for individuals who want to be able to move around as well.
All right, thank you. Well, we're just bumping right up here at noon. So thank you, Chris, for that question. And there aren't any other in the chat box right now. So I think this is probably a good time to wrap up. I want to thank all of our panelists so much for your wonderful advice and encouragement that you've given to all of our new 2020 grads today. Before we sign off, I just have one reminder for our students that next week we have a workshop. It's called Being LGBTQIA+ and the Job Search. And that's going to be Tuesday, June 16th from 11 to 12:30. That's virtual. And that's going to be available to register for on Handshake. So if you're interested in that, please do so. Again, thank you all for joining us. Good luck in your job search. And if you have any other questions, please make an appointment with a career counselor. We'd be happy to help you with that. And with that, bye for now. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Best of luck.